Hi, my name's Steve Wheeler. I'm the senior partner for OneCommute, and today's presentation is going to be on marketing automation and outreach management. Specifically, it's going to be about how can we do targeted marketing. Maybe it's to a telecommuter, maybe it's to shuttles, maybe it's to somebody that is driving alone today, and we can help them make a change, make a difference in choosing not to be driving alone. This presentation is also directed towards property managers, directed towards outreach teams, transit agencies, and it is a way to target messages to those folks so that they may choose an alternative form of commuting. So with that, today's takeaways. So we're looking for a better way for having one solution to market to our commuters or passenger community. So one solution from customer to marketing to commuter. So you have one cloud solution that you're logging into. You have one place for information. You have one place for integration, one source for reporting, one source for dashboards to be able to see that information, and not a multitude of spreadsheets, not a multitude of different systems. To be able to have focused, targeted messaging to those folks. So a van pool person isn't necessarily receiving transit information, or somebody that is a good target for just transit only is only receiving transit information. And it's really opening up a new market to commuters or the passenger community. So we're talking about a better way today. So the statistics here come from the Department of Transportation and creating these commuter passenger profiles. So today there's 130 million commuters on the road today. And we're looking to how we change those single occupancy vehicles. Out there we also have somewhere in the neighborhood of 486 TMA MPO organizations to utilize applications like this, as well as counties. Even counties have to market out to passengers. And the businesses that we need to affect, those employees that are working at businesses that maybe even have 250 or more employees and roughly 3,400 property managers. We only took the largest of the large. There's even more property managers that we could have affluence to affect a better targeted messaging, a better campaign, a better marketing automation solution. So with that, to understand that market, and they're really marketing to both. So we're really marketing out there to employers, which is the B2B world, but also to consumers. There's a lot of similarities when you're looking at the information that you're sending out to them, the information that you want to direct them to, the information and the campaigns that you want them to view. So we're looking at this, how you can have one solution that you're able to market to both B2B and B2C. So with that, we create this partnership, and this is targeted where you can go out and send the information, whether it's to local agencies that are assisting, consulting groups that are assisting the local communities, sending out information, the partnership with employers and the commuters that are with those employers, with the property managers and those employees that are in the buildings, and actually those property managers that have the large apartment complexes, and being able to target to those folks that are in those apartment complexes, because they are starting in the same place and going to work probably in a lot of the same areas, and letting them know their options other than driving their car to those locations, as well as targeting the commuters and passengers, not just employees, but giving another option out there to let them know they don't even have to go to a ride match application. We may be able to show them other options that they may not have known to be available. And certainly those transit agencies and MPOs, and be able to having that, let them target those commuters that work with them. So where do we begin our marketing journey? Where does that begin? And it's really identifying those folks that will choose alternative forms of commuting. And it can come in from various ways. It doesn't have to be a website. It could be coming in from Twitter. It could be coming in Facebook. It could be coming in from however we're going to start creating a profile and understand the actions that those folks are taking. We can come up with the profile information, whether they log in with an email address, whether they're logging in with Facebook, whether they're logging in with another social media application, we're able to start gathering information on these profiles of these folks and start building what are they interested in, and then start sending that information that only pertains to them. So we're not just doing blanket marketing. We're able to send a targeted message to a transit person, to a biker, to somebody that may be walking to work, or where are their options of the groups, or what are the paths that they may have. And then we're also taking a look at what are the actions that those folks are taking so that maybe somebody moves and their profile changes, so that we can target to those changes with those commuters. The next thing is mapping that journey, and mapping that journey of whether it's going to be through a single line, whether it's going to tree, whether it's going to go in different directions, but mapping a journey of the different options that those profiles or those commuters, and this is just a sample of a single journey, and that journey can be multi-threaded, where that commuter, that potential passenger, can be sent information that is, again, targeted to them, and then how they interact with us. And whether that's going through a Facebook post, whether that's going to our website, whether it's clicking on an email, capturing that information to find out what is grabbing their attention and keeping their interest. So with that, the start, where do we begin that journey? In the simplest form, it's about identifying the content that we have either to produce or that we have today, and the content that is available to us in our particular area that we can point them into the direction that they need to go into. So it's first, let's identify what content do we have, and then identify the targets that we are going after. So it may be different depending on what your business is, what targets that we are going after, and what then is the journey that content and that profile that we're going to send them through. So it's then building that map or that flow of what that journey is for those commuters, for those passengers. So then it's really creating those actions. What are the actions to build the funnel of those commuters, and building that funnel and targeting what is the information that we're going to be sending them through their journey. Certainly a monthly newsletter may be something in part of that journey. It may be transit alerts. It may be gathering information from surveys. It may be we will be setting up drip email campaigns, and we'll talk about that and take a look at that here later on in this presentation, as well as other forms of communication through the website, or even blogs or video logs that we're sending out to them, so that they can understand every option that they may have available to them to really affect how they are going from place to place. And it doesn't have to be from home to work or work to home. It can be going to the airport. It could be maybe alternatives to the grocery store, or going to passengers that need transportation for medical, or for going to the doctor's office, but knowing what options that they have available to them. So here's an example of content, and now having one central repository and being able to tag your content. This is an example of one of our screens in here of content. Could be in the form of a document, content could be in the form of a landing page on your website, content could be in the form of video, content can be in the form of a link, content could be multiple things that we're able to store and manage in one place. And this gets to be in the efficient part too, and to know what content becomes old, so that we can keep it, but we then archive it, so if we want to refer it at a later date, but then we're really giving the newest, freshest content that we can possibly have. And then the other thing that we do with that content is, when somebody is consuming that content, we're able to start identifying the scores that we're going to start associating to that content consumption, so that we're able to track that type of profile, so we can map that journey. So this is an example maybe of a pop-up of content that's a layout template, and we're creating a form that when they're coming to our website, that we're trying to gather information about that particular person, or it could be in the form of an email template. It could be in the form of our newsletter, and we're looking to go and capture anything from a click through, so we know what type of interest this particular commuter passenger may have. And so then we're establishing that commuter profile. What are they consuming? And making sure that we're capturing permission too. We need to make sure we comply, that we have permission to send them information, that they allow us to have that information, and we need to make sure that if they unsubscribe, that we take them off any list of anything that we're sending them to. We also can collect the social information about that commuter profile so that they can fit, if we know that a married person that is commuting is somewhat on the lower end of the scale because they like to have access to a car in case there happens to be any kid emergencies. But they may choose to do something if they know about the local guaranteed ride home program or the emergency ride home program. And what ultimately we're building are commuter scorecards so that we know this is the type of commuter, this is what it fits their profile, and then we know what not to be sending them so they're not just getting information that is not targeted for them. So this is an example of some of the commuter profile information that they have, maybe where they're living, their income levels, and we can gather that information even from social profile logins. We can gather that information from surveys. We can gather that information in from local information around the area, so we know the targeted areas, that we can start creating that profile in the application. And as well creating the actions that they're taking. If there's a low commuter action when we're sending them information, that means they may not have interest, and we start backing down the campaign or the frequency that we're sending them information, but we still want to send some information to them periodically that they may become more interested at a later date. So one of those things is creating that profile. We see here to the bottom right is how we are setting up the different scoring options based off of the actions that they're doing. And then on the left hand side, we're starting to see how that can start building up into data science, and so how we start analyzing that scores of those commuters so we can start fitting into that profile what type of actions are they doing, what is the information that we're gathering from the different social feeds, so we can start creating that score about the information that we need to be sending them. So we identify those types in the application based off of what we just discussed as well, and we start doing the action mapping, and we start fitting them into categories of maybe they're a regular user of the different commuter options today, and we just want to make sure we're keeping them interested and knowing about all the options around. Or we have come across somebody with profile potential. They may be a millennial, they're in one of the congested areas, and so those are the ones that we really want to go after. And there's those that have action interested where they have clicked through, so they become high on our prospect lists, our funnels on sending information, and then how we fit them into these drip campaigns. And then we have some of them in the low profile, not interested, where we only may be sending small bits of information to get them maybe interested at the program at a later date. So we become the journey mapping. So if we see here, this is an example of maybe a journey that somebody goes to that's interested in a van pool. And it shows about when we're sending information out to them. Maybe it's the newsletter, then we're sending them the van pool that are around them, so we can maybe tap into the local agencies that have van pools, so that we would know to be proactive, to know what van pools may be in their area in a radius. Maybe we're sending them the ride match login. Maybe we're sending them a guaranteed ride home application and guide them on how they fill that out. Maybe we're collecting information from a billboard, and that billboard is maybe they tweet pound commute friendly, or maybe that is our website and where they're clicking at in our website. So how we're mapping that information so we can build those campaigns and target specifically the information that they're looking, and making sure that we are not over sending information to them as well. So this is an example of maybe some drip campaigns maybe it's just a newsletter campaign, maybe it's a transit campaign, and then figuring out which of these type of campaigns fit our profile. So we have to go through and talk about that mapping as we're gathering information on those folks and figure out what score then kicks them into what campaign. And they can be part of multiple campaigns. So we can also set it up that they're not receiving duplicate. If we know that they're on the newsletter campaign and they're on the carpool, that they're not receiving 2 copies of the newsletter, we'll know based off of that commuter profile that we're only sending it to them one time. Also, as we are our areas, we can also capture the account information. So if we want to know commuters and what employers they're associated to, we could capture that as part of this, and we can start capturing account information where it rolls up that we would know the number of employees that are taking into programs as we gather that information. We don't have to, but this is just another area where we can collect information about the accounts, the property managers, the apartment complexes, the employers around the areas. We can start capturing that information and associate the marketing campaigns that we're doing, so we can see the success that we may be having in the different areas around our area that we're representing. So then it becomes the data science, and this is where we're collecting this data, we're creating those reports, we're creating those dashboards, we're showing the savings that we are doing in the area. We're also be able to show how we're doing from an account standpoint. We can show how we're doing from a commuter standpoint. We can show how we're doing by a type of commute standpoint through surveys and other tools that we have available. Finally, to talk about the platform for change. So we're built on the Force.com platform, the OneCommute solution. We're using the Pardot solution and some of the social studio listening we can utilize if we want to have some listening tools out there. But the most important thing is that this is a platform built for business in the cloud, and we're able to do many of these things all in the same environment. And that's what they're all part of the same environment, part of the same organization. So again, it's one integrated platform, one place to go for your data, one place to go create new reports, and utilize our repository of 100 plus standard reports and well over 30 to 40 standard dashboards. So then it becomes working together. So the information we're collecting fields as part of our marketing campaigns, creating the scoring that we're seeing on the left-hand side, being able to see the prospects that are coming in on a daily basis. We can see when they're clicking on emails. We can see when they're clicking on the newsletter. We can see when they're clicking to the website. We can see something coming in from a Facebook interaction. We could see something come from a Twitter reaction. So we're able to then pull that information into profiles, as long as we start, from a basis standpoint that we can identify who they are, and really working together, building that commuter funnel. OneCommute, we have a suite of applications. That's why we make this from a one platform standpoint. We certainly have outreach management, which is gathering information on employers and property managers and being able to associate the information to accounts, all the transit options that they have to them. We even have ride match applications if the particular area doesn't have a ride match application, or even just a property manager or a potential employer would like to have their employees match internal. We have a ride match application for commuter management. For those areas like the counties, we have transportation management for non-emergency medical transportation for the elderly, for veterans to be able to use, as well as we have a survey management application where we have all that data that we're collecting from a survey in one organization to be able to do analysis on those surveys and to be able to populate those profiles. So it all comes to one big set of data that we're doing analytics and analysis on how we can do a better job in these areas to really affect the different options for commuting. So why us? And I think this really became apparent of having one integrated solution the ease of use, and that really goes back to the IT departments as well. It's the ease of use and ease of access. There is no need for an IT department. There's nothing you need to install on the local laptops. There is a need to make sure that we are establishing content, establishing quality on that content, and establishing our journeys. And there is since it is in one place, so there's a lower overall cost. And the other thing is that we're able to quickly adapt. So if we need to add different fields that we're collecting information, this is a very quick environment. Whenever we do upgrades, we do a central application. We can do upgrades to many instances right at the same time to upgrade your organization so that it's not just custom for you. You can have that application pushed out to any of the organizations so everybody's receiving the same level of the application at one time, yet you can customize your own environment. And the other thing too is being able to have those that use WordPress to manage their websites. There are plugins to that website, so we can automatically start plugging in the code into that website to be collecting for forms and information on that website. So that is a quick overview on the OneCommute marketing automation solution. We thank you for your time. Here's my contact information. You can reach me at the email above, but also you can go out. We have several applications on the force.com or the Salesforce App Exchange, and you can search on us through OneCommute or Sell Well Services. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to talking to you here in the future.